Welcome back to another episode of Scholastic IQ. I'm your host, Ethan Neer, and we have another great show in store for you tonight. So, let's introduce our teams. On the bottom, we have Freeburg with Max, Cameron, Edison, and Noah. And up top, we have Fairfield with Chase, Gabriel, Maverick, and Jacob. Now, before we get into our questions, let's just do a quick recap of the rules. We'll start out with some toss-up questions. Those are worth 10 points. If a team gets it right, they move on to a bonus question, which is worth 20 and can be stolen for 10. You guys are allowed to interrupt me at any time, but if you interrupt me and get a question wrong, it is 5 points for the other team. So just be right all the time and you'll be good. All right, let's get into the questions. What ruler who led the attacking army at the Siege of Vienna was a sultan who expanded the Ottoman Empire and is known today as the Magnificent? Noah.
Suleiman.
Suleiman is correct. Well done. For your bonus, what American's doctor's name is given to the technique using abdominal thrusts to relieve airway obstruction in choking?
Heimlich.
Heimlich is correct. Well done. Next toss-up. What author depicted a prodigy who dates 19 girls of the same name in an abundance of Catherines and wrote the YA tearjerker, The Fault in Our Stars? Chase.
John Green.
John Green is correct. Well done. For your bonus, what woman married Menelaus and was kidnapped before the Trojan War?
Helen.
Helen of Troy is correct. Well done. Knotting us back up for our next question. What movie in which the giant baby Bo escapes from Yubaba depicts Chihiro's adventures in a bathhouse for Kami and was directed by Hayao Miyazaki? Also, Noah.
Parasite.
Parasite is incorrect. I was about to say also, I believe was won an Oscar in 2001, I think. Cameron.
Violet Buzz. No, you're not.
I do not believe you're allowed to buzz on that. Gabriel.
Dragon Ball Evolution.
Dragon Ball Evolution is incorrect. We were looking for the Oscar award winner for the animated category in 2001, Spirited Away. Studio Ghibli movie, Spirited Away. Great movie. If none of you have seen it, fantastic. Really, really good. Next question. What painter who used his wife Saskia as a model painted Syndics of the Drapers Guild and showed the men of Frans Banning Kolk in The Night Watch? Sorry, you guys are all out of time. The answer we're looking for was Rembrandt. The next question, what transition metal, which is used in most white paints as well as in hip replacements and the bodies of airplanes, has the atomic symbol Ti? And the buzzers aren't working, but Max?
Titanium.
Titanium is correct. Well done. For your bonus, according to the UN, as of August 1st, 2023, what country is the world's most populous?
It's China.
It's bonus round, yeah.
India.
India is correct. Yeah. Hold on. For your next question, what general who was defeated at the Battle of Zama by Scipio Africanus at the end of the Second Punic War used elephants to cross the Alps? Noah.
Hannibal.
Hannibal is correct. Well done. For your bonus, Simiparous organisms such as salmon and the agave cactus perform what behavior once in their lifetime?
Reproduction.
Reproduction is correct. Well done. Your next question. What economic concept, which has friction, cyclical, and structural types, also denotes the status of people who are seeking but cannot find work? Chase.
Unemployment.
Unemployment is correct. Well done. For your bonus, in 2022, what video game developer behind Fortnite was fined $520 million for collecting personal information from children under 13?
Epic Games.
Epic Games is correct. Well done. On to our next question. What scientist who wrote the 2022 book Starry Messenger presented the 2020 series Cosmos, Possible Worlds? Max.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Neil deGrasse Tyson is correct. Well done. For your bonus, Herbert suffers a fatal workplace accident after Mr. White uses the cursed title object to wish for 200 pounds in what short story by W.W. Jacobs?
No answer.
No answer. Fairfield, chance to steal.
The Monkey's Paw.
The Monkey's Paw is correct. Well done. For your next question, which man who captained Queen Anne's Revenge and may have had the real name Edward Teach was a pirate whose Noah?
Blackbeard.
Blackbeard is correct. Well done. For your bonus, what leader whose father served as the first prime minister of her country declared a period known as the emergency when she held absolute power?
Pinochet.
Pinochet is incorrect.
Sandra Gandhi.
Sandra Gandhi is incorrect. The answer we're looking for was Indira Gandhi. Indira Gandhi. For our next question, what type of object which includes one created in 1840, known as the penny black, is collected by philatelists and is used to pay postage? Chase.
Stamps.
Stamps is correct. Well done. For your bonus, in 1952, David Tudor sat at a piano and closed its lid while premiering what John Cage piece?
12 empty movements.
12 empty movements is incorrect. Freeburg, chance to steal.
No answer.
The answer looking for was 433. 433. For your next question, what event whose leader was appointed on Mount Horeb by a burning bush occurs after plagues enables Chase?
Exodus.
Exodus is correct. Well done. For your bonus, what author who wrote about an epidemic that devastates the French Algerian city of Oran in his 1947 novel, The Plague?
Vonnegut.
Vonnegut is incorrect. Freeburg, chance to steal.
No answer. No answer.
Answer. The answer we're looking for was Albert Camus. Albert Camus. For your next question, what Habsburg monarch, who was the subject of Charles VI's 1713 pragmatic sanction, waged the War of Austrian Succession to secure her rule? So you guys are on to time. The answer you're looking for was Maria Theresa. Maria Theresa. For the next question, what simple machine used once in an Atwood machine and multiple times in a block and tackle consists of a rope wrapped around a wheel? Gabriel.
A pulley.
A pulley is correct. Well done. For your bonus, what former Canadian Prime Minister who served nearly continuously from 1968 to 1984 was born in Outremont, Quebec?
Pierre Trudeau.
Pierre Trudeau is correct. Well done. Your next question. What animals, some of whom host the Penases when they enter Narnia, are the mascot for Oregon State University and Noah?
Beavers.
Beavers is correct. Well done. For your bonus, what religious denomination founded by Mary Baker Eddy operates reading rooms and a namesake newspaper whose title ends in Monitor?
Quakers.
Quakers incorrect. Fairfield, chance to steal.
Christian Science.
Christian Science is correct. Well done, Chase. For your next question, what play in which Mitch plays poker in the French Quarter with Stanley Kowalski and briefly dates Blanche Dubois is by Tennessee Williams? Chase.
A Streetcar Named Desire.
That is correct. Well done, Fairfield. For your bonus, Aunt March bequeaths her estate to what character who runs a school with her German husband Friedrich Baer in the novel Little Men?
No answer.
No answer. Freeburg, chance to steal.
No answer.
The answer we're looking for was Josephine March. Josephine March. For your next question, what structures surrounded by guard cells and found mostly on leaves allow gas exchange in plants and are named after the Greek word for mouth? Maverick.
Stomata.
Stomata is correct. Well done. For your bonus, what British explorer who died on the quest while en route to Antarctica captained the Endurance in 1915 and had earlier traveled with Robert Scott?
Stockton.
Stockton is incorrect. Freeburg, chance to steal.
Magellan.
Magellan is incorrect. The answer we're looking for was not Stockton, but Ernest Shackleton. Shackleton. Your next question. What country which embraced democracy in the Carnation Revolution after Chase?
Portugal.
Portugal is correct. Well done. For your bonus, what particle which impacts mass via its namesake mechanism was discovered in 2012 at CERN and is sometimes nicknamed the God particle?
Higgs boson.
Higgs boson is correct. Well done. For your next question, what national capital on the Spree River has suburbs such as Potsdam, was once home to Checkpoint Charlie and Chase?
Berlin.
Berlin is correct. Well done. For your bonus, Nathaniel Hawthorne's story, The Celestial Railroad, was based on what 1678 allegory by John Bunyan in which Christian journeys to the celestial city?
A Divine Comedy.
That is incorrect. Freeburg, chance to steal.
No answer.
The answer you're looking for was The Pilgrim's Progress. The Pilgrim's Progress. Your next question. What former crime for which Connecticut exonerated 45 people in May 2023 was most infamously the subject of
Witchcraft.
Witchcraft is correct. Well done. For your bonus, what last name was shared by Edmund, the first Attorney General, and Asa Phillip, a civil rights leader who organized the March on Washington?
Fitzgerald.
Fitzgerald is incorrect. Freeburg, the chance to steal.
Edwards.
Edwards is incorrect. The answer we're looking for there was Randolph. Randolph. And that'll take us to our lightning round. The way our lightning round works is each team will have 60 seconds to answer as many questions as they can about a particular topic. Now, Freeburg, since you guys are trailing in this one, you get the first pick on the litter. Your choice is plastics, famous Romans, homophones, or T in initials.
T in initials.
The initials it is. All right. Given the word that the letter T stands, or give the word that the letter T stands for in these 3-letter initialisms. Oh gosh, initialisms. I don't know that word. 6 seconds on the clock. I'll count you down. 3, 2, 1. NYT, a newspaper.
Times.
That's correct. ATM, a machine that dispenses cash.
Transaction.
That's incorrect. TCU, a university in Fort Worth.
Texas.
That's correct. EMT, a profession of first responders. You can pass.
Transport.
That's incorrect. TLD, the final part of a website's domain name, such as .com.
Pass.
TNG, a TV series in the Star Trek franchise.
Time.
That's incorrect. STI or STD, a category of disease.
Transmitted.
That's correct. TSA, an agency of the Department of Homeland Security.
Transportation.
That's correct. CBT, a psychological treatment.
Therapy.
That's correct. VAT, VAT, a type of levy based on value added.
Theorem.
That's incorrect. TLD, the final part of, you guys are all out of time, so let's go through the ones that you guys missed. ATM, a machine that dispenses cash, was teller. EMT, a profession of first responders, was technicians. TLD, the final part of a website's domain name, such as .com, was top. TNG, a TV series in the Star Trek franchise, was the, as in the next generation. And VAT, VAT, a type of levy based on value added, was taxes. Taxes. All right, Freeburg, that was your turn. Now, Fairfield, you guys get the chance to respond. Your choices are plastics, famous Romans, or homophones.
Homophones.
Homophones it is. Given 2 definition, name these homophones, meaning words that are pronounced the same but spelled differently. 6 seconds on the clock, and I will count you down. 3, 2, 1. A flying vehicle or a 2-dimensional surface.
Plane.
That's correct. Lacking strength or 7 days.
Weak.
That's correct. Denim pants or hereditary material.
Jeans.
That's correct. A center of operations or a low string instrument.
Bass.
That's correct. To expire or to color.
Pass.
Financial gains or a visionary.
Pass.
A public gathering or the cost of travel.
Pass.
Motionless or paper for writing.
Still.
That's incorrect. Grain used for food or something that occurs repeatedly.
Pass.
A key in geography or a small grommet.
Pass.
To expire or to color.
Fill.
That's incorrect. Financial gains or a visionary.
Profit.
That's correct. A public gathering or cost for travel. These are all out of time. Believe it or not, we're nothing but professionalism on this show, meaning I do know how to read. Believe it or not. Let's go through those questions, see which ones you got and which ones you missed. For to expire or to color, we were looking for to die. And in a public gathering or the cost for travel was fair. Motionless or paper for writing was stationary. Grain used for food or something that occurs repeatedly was cereal. Or a key in geography or small grommet was islet. Islet. All right, now let's take a quick look at our scores after the lightning round. We have Freeburg with 170 and Fairfield with 250. So Freeburg definitely still within striking distance. Each question's worth 30 points. That's just 3 questions. You guys are back in it. Let's see if you can get there. What author of Up from Slavery, who encouraged racial conciliation in his Atlanta Compromise, led Tuskegee University and rivaled W.E. Du Bois? Chase.
George Washington Carver.
That's incorrect. Noah.
Booker T. Washington.
Booker T. Washington is correct. Well done, Noah. For your bonus, what mass number of the most common isotope of nitrogen is also the number of electrons in a filled F subshell?
$14.
14 is correct. Well done. The next question. What opera, whose title character sings that love is a rebellious bird, features Escamillo, the Toreador, and was written by Georges Bizet? You guys are all out of time. The answer we're looking for was Carmen. Carmen. For your next question, what substances whose electron density can be measured using a Langmuir probe are made up of ionized gas and are called the fourth state of matter? Chase.
Plasma.
Plasma is correct. Well done. For your bonus, the cities of Kingston and Toronto are on the shores of what Great Lake, which receives the Niagara River? A little bit of Canadian geography.
Lake Ontario.
Lake Ontario is correct. Well done. For your next toss-up, what language used to write the poem The Drunken Boat and the book The Flowers of Evil was spoken by poets Arthur Rimbaud and Charles Baudelaire? Chase.
French.
French is correct. Well done. For your bonus, Edwards syndrome is a fatal example of what type of genetic condition that occurs when an extra copy of a chromosome is present?
Down syndrome.
Down syndrome is incorrect. Freeburg, chance to steal.
Trisosome.
Will we accept that? Yeah, that is correct. For your next question, what disease whose avian form caused the culling of large numbers of birds to deal with a 2022 outbreak? Chase.
Flu.
Influenza is correct. Well done. For your bonus, what surname is shared by a female bounty hunter in One for the Money, Las Vegas Aces superstar Kelsey, and a professor in the board game Clue?
Plum.
Plum is correct. Well done. For our next question, what desert contains the very large telescope in the Paranal Observatory, is the world's driest non-polar desert? And Cameron.
Andes.
Can you repeat that?
Andes.
Andes is incorrect. I'll repeat the question for you, Fairfield. What desert contains the very large telescope in the Paranal Observatory, is the world's driest non-polar desert, and lies primarily in northern Chile? Gabriel.
Mojave.
Mojave is incorrect. The answer we're looking for was the Atacama The Atacama Desert. Next question. What effect which is negligible at the equator causes currents and winds to be chase?
Tides.
Tides is incorrect. I will reread that for you, Freeburg. What effect which is negligible at the equator causes currents and winds to be deflected sideways and causes the rotation of hurricanes? Cameron.
Coriolis.
Coriolis is correct. Well done. For your bonus, the narrowest portion of the English Channel is what strait, which is named after an English city known for its white cliffs?
Dover.
Dover is correct. Well done. For next question, in what battle in which Redoubt number 10 fell to Alexander Hamilton did U.S. troops capture Lord Cornwallis and effectively end Chase?
Yorktown.
Battle of Yorktown is correct. Well done. For your bonus, what musical, the longest running Broadway show of all time, played its final performance on April 16th, 2023?
Phantom of the Opera.
Phantom of the Opera is correct. Well done. Next question. The Orchard Keeper is the first novel by what author who died in June 2023 and who wrote about killer Anton Chigurh in No Country for Old Men? You guys are all out of time. The answer you're looking for was Cormac McCarthy. Cormac McCarthy. For your next question, what composer of Les Tombeaux de Couperin repeated a long snare drum ostinato while more and more instruments enter playing the main theme in Bolero?
Bach.
Gabriel. Bach is incorrect. Noah.
Vivaldi.
Vivaldi is incorrect. The answer you're looking for was Maurice Ravel. Maurice Ravel. Next question. What man who ordered an attack on rival Bugs Moran's Northsiders in the St. Valentine's Day Massacre was a Chicago? Noah.
Capone.
Al Capone is correct. Well done. For your bonus, what economic agreement enacted in 1994 was criticized by Ross Perot, who said it would create a giant sucking sound of jobs leaving the U.S.?
NAFTA.
NAFTA is correct. Well done. For your next question, what TV show whose theme song describes clouds being swept away by a sunny day is named for an urban location home to Bert, Ernie, and Big Bird? Gabriel.
Sesame Street.
Sesame Street is correct. And also on this network, this is one of the times I wish I knew when it was playing on this network so I could do like a little shill for Sesame Street on PBS. I don't know that. But we'll throw it to your bonus question. Pencil and paper ready. What is the units digits of the integer that equals the product of 2 raised to the 10th power, power times 5 raised to the 8th power? That is 2 raised to the 10th power times 5 raised to the 8th power.
Ten to the 18th.
That is incorrect. Freeburg, chance to steal.
2.
2 is also incorrect. The answer you're looking for was 0. 0. For your next question, what non-SI unit has a name first used by Claude Shannon, is the smallest unit of information in computing, and Chase?
Byte.
Will we accept a byte? We will not. So we'll reread the full question for you, Freeburg. What non-SI unit has a name first used by Claude Shannon, is the smallest unit of information in computing, and has a value of either 0 or 1? Cameron.
Binary.
Binary. We will accept that. That is correct. The answer we're looking for was bits, not bytes, or binary digits. Well done, Freeburg. For your bonus, a July 2022 CIA drone strike resulted in the death of what emir or leader of Al-Qaeda, who became its leader after the 2011 death of Osama bin Laden?
Mohammed.
That is incorrect. Fairfield, chance to steal.
No answer.
The answer we're looking for was Ayman al-Zawahiri. Zawahiri. And that is all the time we have for on today's show, so let's take a look at our scores. On top, we have Fairfield with 365 over Freeburg's 290. So very close game at the end, not separating you guys by that much. So that's it for our show tonight. For all the lovely people working very hard behind the camera and our contestants here today, I'm Ethan Neer. Thank you so much, and good night.